Hi friends, how are you doing? Today is Friday, January 5th. My name is Olivia and this is my YouTube channel, Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. It has been 3 weeks since my last video, so I hope you had a great Christmas and a good start to your New Year's. Our Christmas was good. We spent Christmas Eve with my husband's family and Christmas Day with mine. Went by incredibly fast, as it always does. Feel like we just ring in the new year and before we know it, it's Christmas again. But it was a good time, and then in between Christmas and New Year's ended up getting busy, which is why I did not upload a video last week. I do apologize. I also didn't even say anything. I think I just had a bad attitude last week, and that's why I did not upload a video. I actually didn't think anybody would even notice, but I did have a few people reach out to make sure I was okay. All was well. I guess you could say I just did not have the right attitude for filming a Flosstube video. But I do plan on resuming coming back every 2 weeks. In between Christmas and New Year's, I did take all of the Christmas decor down. It's always kind of sad because we have 3 months where the house is very festive, a lot of twinkling lights, just a lot of color, and then it all comes down. And I'm the type of person when Christmas is over or when the holiday in general is over, the next day everything gets swapped out. So I returned the house to normal. The only little bit of decorating I did was to add little bits of snowmen and Valentine kind of in different places around the house. I don't go big and extravagant again until Halloween. So everything is just, just a few little bits here and there. The quilt behind me is called Cut the Mustard. It is out of the book Tried and True by Joe Morton. It's one of my favorite quilts that I have made. I absolutely love the cheddar and the indigo fabrics. It's just such a fun quilt to have up this time of year. Today's video will be about the plans that I have for 2024. It's one of my favorite videos to make. It's also one of the favorites that I love to watch of all of the Flosstubers. Such an exciting festive time of the year, and I've really been looking forward to making this video. I think a really good starting off point for me would be to show the finishes of 2023. I just realized that I forgot to tally up the number of finishes that I had in 2023, so I will insert that number here. I knew there was something I was forgetting. I hate when that happens. So I started 2023 with a handful of WIPs. I had one very outstanding WIP that still remains outstanding today, and that is Women of the Mayflower Coming to America by Brenda Gervais. Do not know when I'm going to get back to working on that one again. I did not enjoy working on it the last time I pulled it out. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with it right now, and until my attitude about it changes, I don't foresee me working on it. But that could change. I mean, May could roll around and I could feel like pulling it out and working on it. So you just never know. But I started with a handful of WIPs and I ended it with 38. And I'm not sure how I feel about that. When I started all of those back in June and into July, I didn't mind it so much, and I really didn't mind it as I moved through the summer and into the fall. But I also, when I started all those, I started them with the intention that I would load them up into the Wheel of WIPs, and when I finished the 3 or 4 assignments that I had, I would spend the rest of the month spinning. And I was only able to do that 2 or 3 times. So I feel kind of bad that I started all of those, even though it was a lot of fun. It brought me a lot of joy to do that. So when deciding what I wanted to do for 2024, I sat down with the mocking basket of WIPs and I went through everything. Looked at them, took them out of the project bags, held them, looked at the threads, and really thought about them. And then I went through and I began pulling out what will be my focuses for this year. So out of the 38 projects in the mocking basket of WIPs, I removed 19. Handful of them are assignments that I'm working on with a group of friends, and the others are what I am referring to as my focus list for 2024. Some of these I do want to see finished by the end of the year, so that is my focus on them. And others I just want to see progress in 2024 because I don't feel like they got enough time, or I wasn't able to go back and work on them like I wanted to. So for today's video, I decided to gather all 19 projects up together. I will let you know which one's a focus piece and which one is an assignment, but basically they are all part of my 2024 stitching plans. First up is my first start for the new year. I'm actually starting it today, and that is Heaven and Nature Sing by Barrick. So I've had this one partially kitted, off and on, fully kitted for many years. This was a chart. When I first started doing these Flosstube videos, my sister-in-law had bought, or she had asked for my 1, 2, 3 stitch wish list, and she bought a whole bunch of charts and all sorts of stuff. And she boxed it all up and she gave it to me for Christmas, and I referred to it as the box of awesomeness, I think is what I called it. And it was back in 2019 was when I put out my first video. And this was one of the charts that she had purchased and placed in the box. So I've had it kitted more times than I count, and unkitted and kitted again. And what kind of held me up was I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it with DMC or if I wanted to do it with the called for MPI silks. I did neither. I bought the Vicki Clayton silks a couple of months ago. I treated myself, and I am stitching it on a piece of 40 count Biscotti by Tropical Stitches. And this is one of the assignments that I'm stitching with a group of friends. Cannot remember who it was that broke it up into assignments. I think it was Yvette. And for the first month, you're supposed to do the outline of the deer and the wreath around his neck. So I'm really, it's a boy, yeah, because it's got antlers. So it's the wreath around his neck. And that is what the assignment is for January. So I am looking forward to finally starting Heaven and Nature Sing by Barrick. The next one is In My Garden by Blackbird Design. So I started this back in June of 23 when I started all of the when I added the new starts to the Mocking Basket of Whip. I started this one. It hardly has any stitching, but this is going to be a focus piece, and it's washing out, but there is a line of stitching right in here. But with the linen and the lighting, I doubt you'll be able to see it because the threads really blend in with this linen. But this will be a focus piece. It is a small drum, so I would like to get this one done and get it finished, and then that way I can enjoy it because I absolutely love it. So I am stitching this on a piece of 28 count gingham cocoa by Weeks Dye Works, and I'm using the called for threads, and I'll be stitching it 2/2. So looking forward to working on that one. Next is Casting a Spell by Blackbird Design. So I have been working on this one. I started late summer, early fall, I think. I've completed 5 blocks so far. So I think I've been working on it 4 months because 2 of the blocks we did in one of the months. So I've been working on it for 4 months. This will be the 5th month. So Casting a Spell, Blackbird Designs. I'm stitching this with Yvette. This is an assignment and also a focus piece because I do want to get this done by Halloween next year. So this month, the assignment is 2 blocks. We are doing another star and the alphabet block. So I will be working on that this month. So I'm stitching Casting a Spell on a piece of 30 count gray by Weeks Dye Works, and I am using the called for threads, and I'm stitching it 2/2. And I already have the box, just got to paint it. The next project was one I started in June of 23. I actually started it on the day Allison graduated from college, which I completely forgot about until I was going back over the book of days. And this is also one that I would like to finish this summer. I'd actually like to finish it, if I could, around the time that Ethan graduates from high school, because I think that would be a good, sad, crying, blubbering memory to have. But that is Plum Street Samplers Live on Little. I love this one. It's so beautiful. I've seen so many people complete it, and it's absolutely gorgeous. This one is an assignment piece, but it's also a focus for 2024 because I do want to get it done this summer. And I did spend a little bit of December working on it. Originally, when I started it back in June, I just had like these little border flowers done. That's all I had done. And I was able to stitch what you see. I love this so much. I am stitching Live on Little on a piece of 36 count American chestnut, and I am using all of the called for threads, and I am stitching it 1/2. So definitely looking forward to getting a little bit farther on that. And again, I am trying to get that finished this summer. The next project is no stranger to any of you guys that have been watching my videos for any length of time, and that is Elizabeth Furness 1836 by Hands Across the Sea Samplers. I started this in October of 2022 with a group of friends. We started it for Yvette's birthday, and so I am stitching this with Yvette and Becky Socks for Mom and Christy Crosshatch Quilts. And I love it. And she is getting very close to a finish, and I could not be more pleased. So this month, the assignment was to complete the landscape at the bottom and then begin working on the house. And I think we were only supposed to do the door, fill it in, and the outline of the first floor windows, but I went ahead and started filling in a little bit of the house. I wanted to see what it would look like because the red that is used is DMC 321, and it hasn't been used at all in the sampler so far. So I wanted to see what it looked like on the linen, and I just wanted to see the house start to come to life. So very pleased to be back working on this one. Still have a little bit ways to go. So I have the other side windows to work on, and I think I might just go ahead and fill in the first floor completely. But I love this. This is a focus piece, so not only is it an assignment, but it is a focus piece, and I want to get this one done this year. So I'm stitching Elizabeth Furness on a piece of 40 count Bee's Knees by Seraphim Fabrics, and I am using the DMC that is listed on the chart, and I'm stitching it 1/2. The next one is Houses of Hawthorne Hollow by Caratal Sampling. So I started this January 1st of 2023, and I am stitching this as an assignment with a group of friends, and it's been an absolute blast to work on. I was able to complete the third house in December. So what happens is that each block gets broken up into 4 parts. So it takes 4 months to stitch one of the blocks. And December was finishing the third block. So we knew when we started, we would only have 3 blocks finished. And I think this year we also are only going to stitch 3. I can't remember. I remember talking about it, but I don't remember what was decided. But this is where I ended up at the end of December, and I'm looking forward to beginning back on this one this month. So I am stitching Houses of Hawthorne Hollow on a piece of 40 count Heritage by Picture This Plus, and I am stitching it with a variety of DMC threads, and I'm stitching it 1/2. I love it. It's so pretty. Love it, love it. Next is a fairly new start for me. I believe I started working on it in November, maybe the end of October. I can't quite remember. And that is The Shores of Hawthorne Hollow by Caratal Samplings. This is an assignment stitch that I am working on with a group of friends. And I started back working on it last Friday. A group of us who are working on Hawthorne Hollows meet on Friday nights for a Zoom meeting, and it's been a lot of fun. So on Friday night, I started working on the water area, which is what January's assignment is. So I just need to get the water filled in by the end of this month. So I am stitching The Shores of Hawthorne Hollow on a piece of 40 count Ale by Picture This Plus, and I am stitching it with the called for DMC 1/2. And I love it. I love that big, beautiful lighthouse on this fabric. It's just so gorgeous. So in December, I was on Instagram, which is the great enabler, and so many cross stitchers were working on this project, and I love it. I loved seeing it pop up. I loved seeing the finishes, and then the various progress that stitchers were showing. It's one that I remember last year seeing, and I remember it was sold out. I couldn't find it last year, and I had meant to go and purchase it early this year, and then of course completely forgot about it until it started showing up again. And I was resisting because it was Christmas. But then I discovered that I had the called for linen and all of the threads. The only thing I needed was the pattern. And that is Christmas in My Heart by Samplers Notforgotten. I absolutely love this chart so very much. It speaks to my vintage loving heart. And as soon as the chart arrived, I started it immediately. And I enjoyed working on it right before Christmas. And I love it. So this is a focus piece for me for 2024. I do want to get this done before Christmas this year, and I want it on my wall. And here is where I ended up. And I just really love this. I love that beautiful pot. I love the vine. I love the colors. I love everything about this. And I cannot wait to get back to working on it. It calls to me constantly. And I love it. Love it, love it. I'm already on the hunt for a vintage looking frame for it because I just love it. So I'm stitching it on a piece of 40 count vintage Meadow Rue by Lakeside Linens, and I'm using the called for thread, stitching it 1/2. And I wish I could get my hands on some more vintage Meadow Rue because it's gorgeous. And the only reason why I had this in my stash was because I did a trade with somebody earlier in the year, and she had 2 pieces of Lakeside linen, and I think I traded her project bags. But, and I feel like I came out the better end of the deal, but she felt like she came out on the better end of the deal. But it was meant to be. And I'm just so excited that I was able to get the chart and that I was able to start it right away. So fun. My next project is also a focus piece for 2024. It is one that I want to get done by Christmas this year, and that is Christmas at Hollyberry Farms by Stacy Nash Primitives. I started this one right after I finished Halloween at Hollyberry Farm. I want to say I finished that in September, and I started it very shortly after. And my goal is to get all of the hollyberries stitched. Not this year, but I do want to get this one finished by Christmas. So, right the day after Christmas, I worked on this one again. I continued working on the border. My original goal was to stitch the entire border first and then go in and work on everything else. That's what I did with Halloween. And I was going along pretty good, but then I just had to stitch that gorgeous lady down in the corner with her beautiful red dress. And I love it. Love it. So I do, again, this is a focus piece. I do want to get this done by Christmas this year. And I still have a very long ways to go, but I absolutely love this. So I am stitching Christmas at Hollyberry Farm on a piece of 36 count Hog's Bristle by Fox and Rabbit, and I'm using the called for threads. I'm stitching it 1/2. My next project is Jack's Bash by Plum Street Sampler. So I started stitching this with Katie of So Tattered, and we have been working on this on the 13th and the 31st, or last day of the month. And on New Year's Eve, this was the project that I worked on, and I worked on it all the way up until 10 minutes before midnight. But here is my progress. I love working on this one so much. So this is a focus piece for me this year, and it is one that I want to see finished by Halloween. So I'm stitching Jack's Bash on a piece of 36 count Grandma Slip by XJU Designs, and I am using the called for thread, stitching it 1/2. This next project I started back in June of 23, and that is Gathering the Greens by Stacy Nash. This is a focus piece, and if it's at all possible, I would love to get this one done by the end of the year. I love it. So this one typically is a Christmas stitch, although a lot of people do leave it up year round, which is probably what I will do. But I saw it pop up in different forms of progress and then finishes, and I love it. I love it so much. So I would really love to have this one on my wall at the end of this year. This is the progress that I've made so far. I was able one time to spin the wheel of WIPs after I started it and was able to get a little bit farther along. I was going to try to work on it in December, and I was actually supposed to work on it, but then I got Christmas in My Heart, and this one got bumped. So I do hope to work on this one. Again, it is a focus piece, so I would like to get it done by the end of the year, or as close to a finish as I possibly can. But I understand. I tried to keep everything very realistic. I will make adjustments in about 6 months, but everything that I chose today, or everything that I chose last month to be on my focus list, I really want to strive to get those projects done by the end of the year. So that's one of them. And then I worked on, in December, Autumn on Lazy Bear Mountain. So this is one that is assignments that I'm doing with a group of friends. I forget who it is. I know I keep saying I'm going to figure out who broke up the assignments, but I never can figure it out. All I did was take a screenshot of what the assignments were and kind of went from there. Someone broke it up into assignments. I kind of went my own way, as sometimes happens. Originally, when I stitched this piece, I went this way, and I think I was all the way over to this pile of pumpkins, did the house, did all of this. And then I abandoned the project because I was not enjoying stitching on it. So this time I decided to go down. So I have this area stitched, and then I came all the way down here, across here, and I went up. So this is where I ended up. So I realized that kind of looks like a leg sticking up, but it's actually the tree. And the way that they had it broken up into assignments, this area right here was one assignment, and this was another one. And up above is where there's all the tree branches and leaves, and I didn't want to start up there and work my way down, because a lot of times when I start at the top of a tree, by the time I get down to the bottom, I find that I've made a mistake. So I wanted to make sure I started off in the correct position of where the tree needs to be. So I am stitching Autumn on Lazy Bear Mountain on a piece of 40 count Crypt cloth by Lappin Loops, and I am using Vicky Clayton silks, and I'm stitching it 1/2. This next project, I borrowed the chart from a friend, and anytime I borrow a chart from somebody, I do a working copy, and then the chart gets put in a safe place. And the only time I touch it again is when I am putting it in an envelope to send it back. So I don't have the cover of the pattern to show, but this is what it'll look like when it's done. And that is Letters to Santa, I believe. Oh, Letters from Santa by With Thy Needle and Thread. I started this back in June when I started all of those projects. And this one is going to be a focus piece for me this year because I would like to get it done by Christmas. It's not an overly large project. I think I worked on this for 30 minutes before I put it away because it got kind of to the end of June and I needed to hurry up and finish stitching all of the projects that I had waiting to start. So I'm stitching Letters from Santa on a piece of 36 count Cream Brulee. My next project is also an assignment project that I'm doing with a group of friends, and it comes out of the Hello Autumn book by Teresa Kogut, and it's called Folky Thomas. So we started this back on Thanksgiving of 2023, and I would like to try to get this done before November this year. So I guess technically it's assignment, but it's also going to be a focus piece. So this is how far I got, and I am stitching Folky Thomas on a piece of 36 count parchment by Weeks Dye Works, and I am using the called for threads, stitching it 1/2. My next project is by this stitching parlor, and it is called Persuasion. It is a Jane Austen adaptation. I started this one late summer, early fall. I discovered it. I was watching Lisa Kindred Stitcher stitch it, and then she would show it on different floss tubes as she was working on it. I fell in love with it, and I ended up ordering the chart from Acorns and Threads, and then went up to Acorns and Threads and kitted it. So I love working on this one. It's so pretty. Haven't been able to spend a whole lot of time on it. It's such a joy, and I absolutely love that border so much. So this is all the farther that I got, and I would like to spend some time working on it this year. There's no way I'm going to get it done unless I just abandon all projects and focus exclusively on this one. but I do want to get it a lot farther along before the end of the year. So I love this one. I'm a huge Jane Austen fan. I love her books, love all of the various adaptations that they've done on, Masterpiece and BBC and just all of it. I could sit down and just watch nothing but that for a long time. And I've also recently discovered on Spotify that the BBC did a radio adaptation where they have actors reading the parts of the different characters, and then it's like what I would imagine radio used to be before TV. So you get a lot of like the background noises and walking around and stuff like that. I've really enjoyed it. I listened to Pride and Prejudice, and now I'm listening to Persuasion. So love it. So Persuasion is my second favorite Jane Austen book. The first one is Pride and Prejudice, of course. So I'm stitching Persuasion on a piece of 40 count linen. That's the name of the dye, linen, by Weeks Dye Works. I love it. Cannot wait to start working on this again. I just love it. Next is one that I started back in June, and that is Your Grand Old Flag by Samplers Not Forgotten. I've had a love affair of this one for a while, and I finally decided to start it. I've had it kitted, I think, since 2020. I started it. I really want to work on this one this year. Originally, I thought this would be a focus piece, try to get it done by the end of the year. I don't know if that's really reasonable. However, I would like to work on it and get it a lot farther along than what it currently is, which is just this little corner. Such a beautiful border. I love how the colors of the border pop against this fabric or this linen, which is a piece of 36 count tin roof by Weeks Dye Works. And I am using all of the called for threads for it, stitching at 1/2. So love it. Like I said, I really want to get this one a lot farther along. If I thought it was possible to get it done this year, I definitely will go for it. But right now, I will just settle for getting it farther along. Love it. Can't wait to start working on that one again. Butternut Tavern by Stacy Nash is also a focus piece for me this year. I want to see this one done by the end of the year. I love this one. I love that beautiful, gorgeous mustard colored house. I've had this one kitted since 2020. Started it back in June and thought I would be able to work on it a lot more and have it done last year. But this year, focus piece. And here is the progress that I made. It's so gorgeous. Love all the colors on this linen, which is a 40 count Dead Sea Scroll by Seraphim Fabrics. Love. I'm using the called for threads. I want to see this done. And I want to have it on my wall by the end of the year. I love it. And I am going to frame it. I know that shows a pillow finish, which is great, but I want it in a frame. I love that gorgeous linen. I need to get some more of it. I just love it. The next project I started on my birthday in November, and that was Sarah Stewart Hardman by Needlework Press. So I've been able to work on this one a couple of times because it is an assignment stitch. And I am working on this with Yvette and Celeste Creates, which I watched her video yesterday, and she showed her progress on this one when she did her whip parade. She's got a lot of it done and it looks absolutely magnificent. So I cannot wait to get mine finished. I don't know if it's going to get done this year. I do know that when Elizabeth is finished, this I'm going to go pretty hard at to try to, it would be nice if I could get it done this year, but I don't think it's going to happen. But I'm going to really, the assignments are going to get bigger and we're really going to try. I'm going to try to get this much farther along. And if I do get it done this year, it would be fantastic. But again, I'm trying to be realistic. But it would be really great if I could get it done this year. this is how far I got, and I know I showed this in my last video. I do plan on working on it again this month, and there is a bird that is underneath the basket, and that's what I will be working on, and then bringing that border down too. So I am stitching Sarah on a piece of 36 count vintage buttercream by Lakeside, and I am using the called for classic colorworks that are listed in the chart. In my last video, I told you guys a little bit about my great-great-grandmother, Martha, who I am stitching this one for. And without going into too much detail, Martha's husband was very absent, and she was left behind to take care of the children, raise them, do everything for them. And when I originally thought about doing this sampler for Martha, I didn't know if I should put her husband in there, so I asked everyone kind of what they thought. Everyone was in agreement. He should not be stitched on the sampler, but he should be put on the back with the information for the sampler. And that's probably what I will do. I had already kind of thought about that a little bit, because I feel like I should probably, try to put as much information as I can with the sampler. This is a piece that I told my daughter she'll inherit it when I die. So, but I'm sure it would be nice to just kind of include the information of Martha. Martha was my grandma's grandma. So she also taught her how to quill and do everything. So I definitely wanted to do a sampler to honor her, because I feel like through her, I learned how to quilt too, because she taught my grandma, who then taught me. I also have her treadle sewing machine, which it means so much to me. It's one of my most prized possession. My children are my first. But yeah, I'm going to just put Martha's name, and then on the back, I will put her husband's name. And that brings us to the very last one. So this one I started, I think in October. We did it for Becky Socks for Mom and Christine Hollis Hands Creates October birthdays. This is not an assignment. It was just stitch it and try to get it done by the October of this year. And Yvette and I were talking, and we decided when we finish casting a spell, we are going to work on this until it's done. So it comes out of the Winds of Autumn book by Blackbird Designs, and it's called First Winds of Autumn. I will be framing mine, but typically people will make theirs into a strawberry, but I kind of want to be able to see the whole piece. I think it's so beautiful. There's so many stitches in it, and I just really want to see it framed. So this is the progress that I made back in October. I don't think I worked on this in November, maybe really briefly, but I feel like in October is when I spent the most time on this one. So I am stitching First Winds of Autumn on a piece of 36 count vintage beeswax by R&R Reproductions, and I am using the called for threads. So not too shabby as far as plans go. Again, I know that seeing like all 19 of them, a lot of people will think, well, there's no way you're going to get all that done by the end of the year. And you're right, I am not, and I don't plan on getting all of them done by the end of the year, only certain ones. Everything else I will work on and carry into 2025. And I'm fine with that. I remember when I did a WIP video, I think it was in 2021. I remember because I had showed what was in the mocking basket of WIPs. And I can't remember how many projects I had in there, but a lot of people thought that my plan had been to finish everything by the end of the year. So I remember I got such negative feedback. So I definitely want to underline that I don't plan on getting every single one of these done this year. I just want to get some of the focus ones completed and on my wall. And if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to beat myself up about it, but I'm going to try my very best to get some of those focus pieces finished, or as close to a finish as I possibly can. So in my last video, I did have a giveaway, and thank you so very much to everyone that played along. I do appreciate everyone who watched the last couple of videos. I know Christmas is a very busy time of the year, but I appreciate each and every one of you guys who takes a little bit of time out of your day to hang out with me. And I don't have a lot of, I don't have any local stitching friends. So you guys are all my stitching friends. I appreciate that. You know, I have friends who come and hang out with me. So thank you. The giveaway was for I don't have it with me. It was for a big envelope full of a variety of cross stitch charts. And the question that I had asked was, what is your favorite Christmas sweet? Loved reading through everybody's responses. And the winner is Cricket Studios. So that is what your YouTube handle is. And I will go ahead and scroll it. But congratulations. If you can get a hold of me via email, I will get your prize out in the mail to you. And thank you so very much for playing along. I did receive a package from the Fat Quarter Shop, and it is, and I was supposed to show this in my last video, but I forgot to look if they had, you know, like released it because it's a club. And so I do apologize to them for my delay in showing this, but it is from their Stitch Quarterly Cross Stitch Club or cross stitch subscription. And for December, it was called Festive Blizzard. And this is what the chart looks like. Very, very cute. So the cross stitch quarterly subscription, it comes out 4 times a year, and it's generally seasonally themed. So this one is themed for winter. So the kit I'm going to call it a kit. The kit came with the chart. It comes with the DMC. And this one also has a classic Colorworks thread, so it generally comes with the called for thread. It also has an adorable needle minder, and all the kits have come with a themed needle minder. And it comes with Aida to stitch it on. This is Minty Green Opalescent 14 Count Aida by Zweigart. So each kit comes with Aida. And then it'll usually have some little tool. And this one is the Star Detailer. And this is one, so on the back side of your stitching, sometimes if you cut your thread too short or you get a knot and you snip the knot and then you just have a little bit of tail of thread, you can run this under the back side of your stitches, grab the loose thread and pull it through. So it is a great tool to have. And then every kit comes with a bag, a project bag. So this one is very winter themed. So very cute. So thank you so very much to the Fat Quarter Shop for sending that my way. And you can get a subscription. Subscriptions are still available if you're interested. And I will put a link to the club subscription page through the Fat Quarter Shop down below. And again, thank you so very much to the Fat Quarter Shop for sending that my way. And before I forget, it is also today's giveaway. So if you are interested in winning the Festive Blizzard Stitch Quarterly Project Kit, what you will need to do is be a subscriber, like the video, and answer this question down below. And this question actually comes courtesy of my husband, who asked it he came out and he said, I have a really good giveaway question that you could ask. And that was, if you could live in any TV show or movie, so you would move there and live there, what would it be and why? So originally I had said it would be Northern Exposure because I absolutely love that show so very much. I would love to live in that town. I'd love to hear Chris in the morning on the radio and go down to the bar and just have a good time and beautiful scenery and all that. So that's what I had originally said. But then a day later, I really got to thinking about it. And I think if I could live in any TV show or movie, it would be in Pride and Prejudice, because I want to be the mistress of Pemberley. Which would technically mean I'd have to marry Darcy. So maybe if Brian could just come and then we could just buy it from Darcy, and then we could just move into Pemberley, that'd be great. Basically, I just want to be the mistress of Pemberley. So that is my final answer. I would live in Pride and Prejudice. So let me know down below. And in my next video, I will announce the winners. And as always, thank you so very much for playing along. So So now I'm going to go ahead and move on to my quilting plans of 2024. So when I was thinking about this year, especially over the fall of the year, I really started to think about what I want to see quilting wise. I don't feel like I got as much time to quilt as I wanted to. I was able to get some finishes done. Unfortunately, I was terrible about posting my finishes of those quilts. So I don't have them to insert. I think I only found like 3 of them on Instagram, and I was super bummed that I didn't do that. So that's one of the things I plan on doing this year is posting progress of quilts, posting finishes of quilts. But I basically want to be doing way more quilting than I have been. So on January 1st, I decided to cut out a quilt, and I went and I looked all over the kits I have, and I picked this one first. And I apologize if I butcher the name. I found out this is actually a real life mill, but it is the Cocheco Mills collection. This was a quilt designed by Jean Ann Wright, and it is with Judy Rothermel fabric. So I decided to start with this one. Out of all of them, it was kind of the easiest. I thought maybe I'd be able to get it done today, but I'm 6 blocks shy. But I was able to make some blocks, and they are just so beautiful. And I won't show all of them because some of them were repeats. So this one was the last one I finished. And then you also had to make a couple with this middle. And then this one, which I really love this one. I can see my hand is shaking. I apologize. I didn't have any breakfast and it's past lunch. So it's definitely, I need to go eat something. And then this one. So I think, yes, so those are all of the blocks that I finished. I mean, I have a big stack of them here, but I just showed different fabrics. So I plan this weekend to complete the remaining 6, which are these ones right here. I probably would have had them done if they wouldn't have had that extra snowball in the middle. So plan on getting that one done, and I hope to show it in my next video. The next quote will be a new start for me. This one is one that I will work on probably monthly. When it came out, you were supposed to do a block a week, and then I think it ran for like 50 weeks, and then at the end of the year, you have a brand new quilt. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to just, stick with that and then each month come out with 4 or 5 blocks, depending on how many weeks they are, or if I'm just gonna go for it and just, cut out a bunch and then assemble them when I have time. Haven't decided yet, but I will be starting Mastering Miniatures, and this was by Homestead Hearth. This came out as a block of the month. It's so beautiful. I cannot wait to start working on it. And here is the fabric. So it's so gorgeous. Love all of those colors. And I do believe all of the fabrics are Judy Rothermel. Yes, they are. Does it say what fabric line? It doesn't, but after I start it in my next video, I'll look up and find out which fabric line this came from. It's very much out of print. You could probably find bits and pieces of both fabric lines. In fact, when I was looking up to see how to say Cocheco, which again, it's probably not correct, I found a couple pieces of the fabric line that were, just kind of wherever, just be like one, fat quarter or a yard piece. But I'll find out what fabric line Mastering Miniatures was made from, and I'll let you guys know in my next video. Well, my friends, that brings me to the end of today's video. If you've stuck around all the way through the video, thank you so very much. All of the projects, quilt, everything, all of that information will be put down below in the description box if you are at all curious, or if I forgot to say linen, threads, what have you. I'll put all that information down below. Thank you so very much for hanging out with me today. And before I go, I do want to say a thank you to all of you guys who have been subscribers of mine, who religiously come and watch my videos and leave great, wonderful comments, and just all of your love and support that you've shown me all these many years. I really appreciate it so very much, more than you can ever know. So thank you so very much. The plan for me will be to be back in 2 weeks, I promise. And I do apologize for missing last week. I hope I explained. The beginning of the video, I stopped and started so many times deleting and deleting and deleting that I hope I said why. Anyway, but I do apologize. I promise I will be back in 2 weeks to share the progress that I've had on whatever it is I've worked on over these 2 weeks. But I do thank you so very much for hanging out with me today. Happy New Year. And oh, before I forget, if you would like to follow me on Instagram, I'm Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. Do have a Facebook page called Pumpkin Hollow Quilting. Again, thank you so very much for hanging out with me today, and I will see you all again soon. Bye-bye.